Hey everyone, this is New York Cine Radio. I am your host, Tom Seymour.
Hey, this is Dave Lute. Welcome to Mama's Play Studios.
And this is James Richardson.
Thank you very much for co-hosting today.
Ken Powell.
Appreciate that.
It's Ken Powell.
Ken Powell will be back in half a semester. I've been talking in terms of semesters lately.
He's not done yet?
He's not done. He's finishing off he's being finished off. He's finishing off his BA at Hunter in the film department, which is awesome. So he shall be back. That was the theme song from The Greatest American Hero.
Yeah,
awesome TV show. Did you watch that growing up?
Oh, I watched it totally. Robert Culp and William Catt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw him at he was at one of the Comic-Cons. He didn't look too much different than, he's still pretty youthful. Robert Culp looks totally different. Yeah. He's dead, I think. Yeah.
Oh. He looks perfect.
He would look different if he was dead. But I love that show. I remember when it came out, I was pretty young, and I don't even remember if I was watching reruns or whatever. And also the name. Think about the name, The Greatest American Hero. I'm like, that's a ballsy name for a show. But I guess it's sort of ironic because he's kind of a
douche.
Yeah.
No, I loved it because there was a time where, that was like the pinnacle of superhero movies.
Yeah.
You had the cheesy Spider-Man movie, cheesy Spider-Man TV series. You had the Incredible Hulk, which wasn't too bad with Bill Bixby.
Oh yeah, and Lou Ferrigno,
right?
And you had the Adam West. I mean, I guess that was before that, but the Adam West Batman movie.
Yeah, that was in the '60s. It was a movie and a TV series.
Okay, yeah.
Things like Knight Rider were out at that point too.
Yeah.
Well,
what is it? The other one that everyone loved, $6 Million Man.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's right. Yeah.
They're remaking that.
Really?
You know who's supposed to play?
Are they adjusting for inflation?
Is it Seth Rogen?
It's supposed to be the $6 billion man.
Okay.
And Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I
Is he bringing his funky bunch?
I don't know.
If they spent $6 billion on him, wouldn't they make him taller?
I know.
Anyway, we spent $6 million on you. You are 5'5".
So he's
it's all we could afford.
Budget cuts.
That's cool. I don't know. He's done some good movies, but he's been in a lot of stinkers.
Oh
too.
yeah.
The only one that only movie that Wahlberg has been in that I absolutely love was Ted.
Yep.
And they're doing Ted 2 also. So.
Yep. He was okay in Departed, I guess, but I never really understood. They gave him a Best Supporting Actor nomination for Departed. I was like, I don't get that, man. But he was
Which
fine.
one was Departed? Was that the one everyone dies? Basically.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Jack Nicholson, Irish mob.
Yeah. They were like police.
Leonardo
police
DiCaprio was in that.
Yep.
I thought Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a crazy cast. Alec Baldwin. What's his name? Martin Sheen. It was crazy. So anyway, we played Greatest American Hero because there's all new shenanigans going on over at Marvel. There's released this crazy lineup of films, right?
I mean, people had been waiting for Marvel to basically come out with their new lineup. They're currently in the process of finishing up what is called Phase 2. Phase 2 basically was Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and the last one was Guardians of the Galaxy. Which in all of those right there, that's a pretty strong, pretty solid lineup. The last two movies that they have to complete Phase 2 is Avengers: Age of Ultron, which they've had a number of trailers kind of been released, and it looks insane.
It looks great, yeah.
In terms of the casting, in terms of the visual effects, everything looks like it's on point. The only one that's that we haven't seen anything yet from to finish out Phase 2 is Ant-Man, which is scheduled to be, and I laugh kind of because I had that same kind of initial laugh when they came out with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. What the hell are they going to do with this?
Right. And that was probably one of the best movies of the summer.
I think so. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah.
Kids were talking about it like it was the Star Wars for this generation. Which I don't know. I thought that was a little bit superfluous, but
yeah. I mean, time will tell. I mean, there's a lot of hype now, but I do think if I was a kid and saw this, I think it would stick with me for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
for a while,
Yeah.
But I think of it more of like a Goonies than a Star Wars. It's just one of those movies that's like probably always going to be with you, but not necessarily like Star Wars.
I mean, I liked it, but when people were kind of like, I thought Winter Soldier was a much better film altogether.
That was really strong, yeah.
But maybe that's just me because I'm an older dude too. But all the kids I know love Rocket Raccoon and the whole
right, yeah,
right,
yeah. It was geared for kids, or yeah.
So I mean, those are the last two movies that's going to end out their phase 2, which basically ends in 2015. So Marvel, about a week and a half ago, came out and announced the lineup for phase 3, which blew a lot of people away because a lot of movies that they had been anticipating to releasing or announcing, they confirmed. The first one was Captain America, and I don't know if you saw the televised event, because Marvel's kind of getting like Apple now. Every time they get ready to release this new phase, they'll have this big kind of like open promotion, and it's like a spectacle. They'll have like they had Robert Downey Jr. They had. Not Thor. Who's the guy who plays Captain America? I'm just totally spacing on it now.
Is it God?
Chris
Evans? No, it's
Evans. Chris. Yeah. Well, whatever. The guy who plays Captain America. So there was. They came out and they announced a number of the movies. The first one was Captain America 3, which is the follow up to Winter Soldier, which they're anticipating being released now on May 6, 2016. So all of these begin in 2016 and run up until 2019. So they're planning pretty far out at this point for phase 3. They did this real big fake out where they announced it was Captain America, the Serpent Society, which is kind of like one of this group that Captain America has fought and dealt with in the comics. So everyone was like, okay, that's solid movie, and then they went on to announce. No one was really hyped up about that, but they went on to announce then that the next movie was going to be Doctor Strange, which everyone had been waiting for. And it's been announced to a certain extent that Benedict Cumberbatch, the guy who is going to be Doctor Strange,
who was in the new Sherlock series and played Khan in the Into Darkness Star Trek film, which I didn't think was that hot, but so. I'm not a comic book expert. I love the films, but I just don't read that much. So for those listening who are not like in the know about Doctor Strange, what's the deal with him? Like, what's his background?
Stephen Strange was basically this physician. He was kind of like this typical, jerk surgeon, very, arrogant and, had a God complex pretty much. He gets into an accident and basically ruins his hands. So his bread and butter, the thing that made him special, is now damaged. So he starts traveling. He becomes kind of like a borderline alcoholic, starts traveling the world, trying to find a solution to basically fix his hands. So he basically goes to this Tibetan monastery and finds this ancient wizard there or this wise man who he turns out to be a wizard called the Ancient One. And he tries to appeal to him to help him correct his problem. So what happens is that instead of fixing and healing his hands, he basically teaches him to be more at ease with himself, to, and teaches him the mystic arts, basically, how to really find himself. Mm-hmm. And he becomes what's called the sorcerer supreme of the earth. He takes over for the Ancient One. So Doctor Strange is kind of like the mystical guardian for the planet Earth. He's the one who holds like hell and all these other mystical forces at bay, which is a pretty big responsibility. Now, Doctor Strange plays into the Avengers in a little bit of way. He was part of also this team called the Defenders, which Netflix is, and to talk about Marvel's whole thing, because they were releasing was their movie releases for the next couple of years. There's a number of Marvel TV series on Netflix because they're doing this kind of like cinematic and television universe running side by side. And I'll come back on that. But Doctor Strange is kind of like the mystical guy within the Marvel universe. And that helps them branch off into a whole nother area of movie genres Whereas like Guardians was like their sci-fi area because everything dealing with space. Now they have Doctor Strange, which basically breaks them off into the mystical area. So they could get into like the Scarlet Witch. They could get into they could come reintroduce Blade, which I think they should do for the vampires and stuff like that. So there's a lot of areas that they can go to with that. And Cumberbatch, I think, is actually a good match. I'm not a big Sherlock fan. I haven't watched a whole bunch of the episodes, but people who do watch it absolutely love him in that role.
I think it's fascinating. I like it. I didn't really watch much of his other stuff, so that's pretty much the only thing I like of his.
Right. I wasn't a big fan of the Khan stuff he did in Star Trek.
That was shit. I mean, I don't know that it's his fault. It's sort of like, hey, be this thing that's impossible. You're not going to be... I mean, what's it? Montalban?
Yeah, Ricardo Montalban.
I mean, I think that was the best thing he did in his entire career. And it's just such an iconic character that when you put someone in there and you're like, no. It's like, I can't describe it, but it's not like, we're not talking like, it's like